Chapter 1568. Dozens of zither sounds turn into blades, smashing into his body at close range. In an instant, his clothes are torn apart and blood splatters everywhere. Gong Kan's chest has dozens of bone-deep wounds. The stands are quiet for a moment. Many people don't understand what happened, their faces full of bewilderment. Why is Gong Kan suddenly covered in blood? What happened just now? I thought it would be Jun Mayan who got hurt, how could it be Gong Kan instead? Gong Kan retreated to the side of the two members of the Xiongba team. Still in a state of shock, he looks at the sweet smiling girl, his brows tightly wrinkled. The bursts of pain coming from his chest make his eyes stain with a thick ruthlessness. Good, really worthy of being a genius zither master. The first support, you actually have some ability to protect yourself. But I really don't believe that you can protect yourself for a while. Can you protect yourself for a lifetime? You can use small tricks to deal with me, but can you fight against the four of us at the same time? Gong Kan says as he waves his hand, shouting in a stern and angry voice, Zhang De, you go together with me. Today, I will make this smelly woman beg for death. As long as we kill this smelly woman, the Xiongba team will win without a fight. Almost at the same time as Gong Kan's order, the four members of the Xiongba team each take out their magic weapons. There's a flying sword, a long blade, and the meteor hammer that just smashed the arena. Their bodies are obviously like small mountains, their weapons cumbersome, but when they move, the four people's movements are as fast as lightning. The hearts of the audience in the stands are suddenly raised, but at the same time, they don't have a trace of hope in their hearts. Even if that unforeseen event just now was really Jun Mayan's strength, as a support master, she still has a way to protect herself. But how could a little girl fight against four experts of the same level at the same time? Even the tyrannical Lu Jinhang and Ouyang Qing didn't have the courage to say that they could fight against four top elites of the Spirit and Martial Arts Academy when they were in their fasting period. Boom! A loud noise rolls up a monstrous wave of smoke and dust in the arena. Just when everyone thinks that they will see the miserable scene of Jun Mayan's corpse lying in a pool of blood, suddenly, a seven-colored light bursts out from the center of the arena. 7 giant swords of different colors spun and danced in the air, emitting a dazzling yet chilling light. Amidst the dust and smoke, the miserable cries of Gong Kan and the others rang out one after another, as well as many fearful questions. The people on the grandstand were all stunned. What's going on? Is Mayan still alive? What are those 7 swords? Why have I never seen such a sword before? In the next moment, the 7 swords suddenly soared into the sky and slowly formed a crystal-clear long sword in the sky above the arena. And on top of the sword, a young girl in snow-white clothes had appeared out of nowhere. Her clothes fluttered in the wind, her long hair was like a waterfall, her face was like snow, and her peach blossom eyes were filled with starlight. The spectator stands were completely silent, deathly silent. Everyone stared at the girl in the air, forgetting to speak, forgetting to move, forgetting to breathe. This deathly silence lasted for several dozen breaths of time before someone in the stands suddenly erupted with an earth-shattering shout. Fuck. Sword riding flight. Following this shout, it was as if a huge rock had been thrown into a calm lake, and in a split second, it stirred up raging waves. Chapter 1569. Wait, isn't the problem that she's only at the fasting stage? How can she fly on a sword? It should be known that Qi Ming, the one who did the entrance examination for Mayan and the others, was able to fly on a sword with his Jindan cultivation, which was already praiseworthy. But Jun Mayan. She's only at the fasting stage. She can already fly on a sword. The flying sword slowly descends from the sky, landing on the stage. A pair of slender, jade-like hands hold the translucent Qijue sword in the palm, pointing it at the ground. The girl's long eyelashes lightly tremble. She lifts her eyes and looks at the battered and exhausted Gong Can and the others with a smile that isn't a smile. What did you just say? I can deal with you alone. Can I deal with all four of you at the same time? Now guess again. Can I deal with all four of you at the same time? Gong Can's trembling hands cover the bleeding wound on his abdomen. There's no arrogance and despotism on his face, only shock. Why? You're just an auxiliary master, how can you be so strong? You, who exactly are you? Mayan brushes away the dust on her clothes. Am I not the auxiliary master that you said could be casually pinched to death? What, now you don't want to use the rushing thunderclaw to pierce my chest and abdomen, and listen to me cry for mercy? Gong Can clenches his teeth and says in a low voice, Jun Mayan, we might as well make peace. Although your strength is pretty good, you're only one person after all. If the four of us really disregard everything and fight to the death with you, you won't be able to gain anything. This match, we'll drag it out for an hour, and our side will directly eliminate 3 people. How about it be a draw? If it's a draw, both teams can enter the 4th round, which can be considered a win-win outcome. A draw. Mayan chuckles, it sounds like a really good decision. Hearing that, Gong Can's face shows a trace of a smile. Who knew that Mayan would say again, it's a pity that from the very beginning, you've said that our carefree team will die miserably. If we don't reciprocate politeness, wouldn't it seem that we're too impolite? Gong Can's complexion suddenly turns very unsightly, and the other 3 members of the brave tyrants also reveal their ferocious faces. Smelly woman, do you really think we're afraid of you? 1 against 4, I want to see if you can really win against us. Brothers, give it your all. Let's let this bitch have a taste of our strength. Don't forget that we, the mighty tyrants, are a team that will fight for the championship. With a few shouts, the members of the Xiongba team immediately have an imposing manner, launching a swift and fierce attack towards Mu Yan. However, Mu Yan's figure was clearly surrounded by these 4 iron tower-like brawny men, like a weak willow and cattail grass that could be destroyed at any time. However, her figure was like a phantom, and no one could catch her at all. The transparent 7 absolute sword in her hand transformed into thousands of sword shadows, causing all of the attacks from the mighty tyrants to be like stones sinking into the ocean, not causing a single ripple. Everyone in the stands was dumbfounded. They all wondered if there was something wrong with their eyes. Moreover, slowly, those with sharp eyes began to discover that something was wrong. Don't you think that the way Jun Mayan fights looks a little familiar? Don't you think that the sword in Mayan's hand is also very familiar? The 2 people in the stands looked at each other in dismay, seeing the horror in each other's eyes. The same name suddenly jumps out from their mouths, Great God Yi. Chapter 1570. What caught people's attention even more was the transparent sword. It was such a special sword. Anyone who had seen it would notice it. But God Yi had used such a transparent sword before, and now Jun Mayan was using it as well. No, that's impossible. We must have seen it wrong. Yes, Jun Mayan is the strongest musician and support master. If she's also the master of the Qingyun sect, Yi Liangqin, what kind of monster would she be? However, this thought was planted in their hearts and they couldn't get rid of it. In the arena, Mayan defeated the 4 masters of the Xiongba without any pressure. More and more people had this thought. When did the Starry School have such a powerful person? She defeated 4 top elites of the spiritual martial arts school with her cultivation at the peak of Anidia. He was omniscient and omnipotent. He could be a heaven-defying support master or an invincible swordsman. A name was echoing in everyone's mind. That person used a short month to defeat the exquisite, Nirvana, and numinous clouds lists. That person became the top of the Qingyun ranking, which no one had successfully reached in decades. That person used the despised talisman to participate in the Golden Tianguang competition and defeated Fairy Yaodai to become the champion. There was only one person in the entire world. The master of the Qingyun sect, Yi Liangqin. Is Jun Mayan really Yi Liangqin, God Yi? Other than God Yi, is there anyone else in Starry School who is so powerful? But, that's not right. If Jun Mayan is really God Yi, she can reach the top of the Qingyun ranking, draw talismans, fly on her sword during Anidia, and she's also the strongest support master. Do you believe this? The spectator stand fell into dead silence again. Everyone was at a loss whether Jun Mayan was great God Yi or not. However, no one was sure that Jun Mayan was Yi Liangqin. Because if it was true, then Jun Mayan was so powerful that she couldn't even be considered human. In the arena, Gong Kan's eyes flashed with bloodthirstiness. Seeing that his three teammates were trying their best to block Jun Mayan's attack and were about to be seriously injured, he didn't go to help them. Not only does he not go to rescue her, but he goes around to Mayan's back instead. He stealthily smears poison on the rushing thunderclaw, and noiselessly attacks Mayan's back. The rules of the 3 Academy tournament forbade the use of sinister methods like poisonous goo. But at this moment, Gong Kan's heart was filled with hatred, and he could no longer care so much. As long as he could cripple this woman and vent his anger, so what if he was expelled from the Spiritual and Martial Arts Academy? However, his rushing thunderclaw is about to ruthlessly grab Mayan's back. Suddenly, he heard the intermittent sound of a zither. Then, Gong Kan felt a sharp pain in his wrist. He let out a miserable howl like a pig being slaughtered. He watched helplessly as his hand, which was equipped with the thunderbolt claw, flew up into the sky and heavily clawed at his face. With a tearing sound, the rushing thunderclaw scratched a hideous bloody scar on Gong Kan's face. The poison on Gong Kan's face instantly spread, and the skin on his face began to fester at a speed visible to the naked eye. Huge blood blisters began to grow on various parts of his body. He fell to the ground, wailing and rolling on the ground. It wasn't long before he became neither human nor ghost, and he was in an incomparably miserable state. Chapter 1571. Everyone's gazes are like they're looking at a monster, a female devil that makes them fear her. Yun Ruhan and the others unhurriedly walk to Mayan's side. They've been fighting with the people of the mighty tyrants for a long time, but they don't look the least bit disheveled. They're not even out of breath. It's clear that they haven't gone all out. On the other hand, there's no need to talk about the 4 people of the mighty tyrants who are fighting against Mayan. The others, even those who are fighting against Chu Moli, are all battered and exhausted, their eyes filled with fear. At this moment, whether it's in the stands or below, everyone has to admit it. The Carefree team is very strong. So strong that Jun Mayan's declaration of winning the championship, which was like a joke, now seems more like a preview. Luo Yu looks at the panic-stricken members of the mighty tyrants, and says with a smile, "You're right. If you want to deal with our Carefree team, the best way is to subdue my 6th senior sister, who is also our strongest support. But the problem is, which one of you can defeat our strongest support?" The stands are once again in absolute silence. What seemed to be Carefree team's greatest weakness was also their greatest strength. Such a Carefree team is truly invincible. If Jun Mayan really is the Lord of Clear Sky, Yi Liangqin, then, even the most favored team, the Phoenix Heavenly King, might not be their match. Could it be that in this Tri-Academy tournament, there's really going to be a miracle where a 7-person team wins the championship? Ling Yuma clenches her fists and says in high spirits, "What should we do next? Beat every one of them until they're like bears." She's referring to Gong Kan, who no longer looks like a human. The people of the mighty tyrants are scared out of their wits. We admit defeat. Someone can't help but shout with a sobbing tone, "We, the mighty tyrants, voluntarily give up and admit defeat." The other members of the mighty tyrants immediately nod like chickens pecking at rice. If it weren't for the fear that makes their legs weak, they would have jumped down from the high platform right now. Mayan stretches out a jade-like finger and gently shakes it. "You can't admit defeat. I've just said that once the competition starts, it's not up to you to decide when you want it to end. Then what do you want?" The tower-like burly man was so scared that he was about to cry. Especially when he saw the pitiful state his captain was in, he almost fainted. Don't forget, you'll be punished for maliciously harming your opponent. Don't be rash." Mayan nods in sudden realization. "If you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten. You can't maliciously harm your opponent in a match." The beautiful girl tilted her head slightly. When she said those words, she looked like an innocent and harmless little girl. The members of the mighty tyrants felt that they had seen hope and nodded even more vigorously. However, in the next moment, Muyan's face darkened. "Then when you hurt other opponents, why didn't you think that you would be punished by the competition?" These words immediately resonated with many people. Someone shouted, "We must teach Team Xiongba a lesson." Someone screamed at the top of his lungs, "Xiaoyao Squad, please avenge us." Many of the people shouting were actually students of the Spiritual Martial Academy. The members of the mighty tyrants team trembled. Some people wanted to sneak off the stage, but they were blasted back by a punch from Qin Jiu and the others. Chapter 1572. Mayan says unhurriedly, "Don't worry, in order not to be punished, I won't do anything to you. I just want you to listen to me play a song." Hearing this, the members of the Xiongba suddenly feel that they have escaped from death, and are overjoyed. The audience and the stands are all unreconciled and jeering. The members of the Xiongba have hurt so many people, how can they be let off just by listening to a song? However, when the members of the Xiaoyao team hear Mayan's request, they all shake their heads. This junior sister is really too ruthless. Looking at the happy appearance of the Xiongba team, they can't help but sympathize. On the stage, the peerlessly beautiful girl is sitting on the ground, her white clothes falling to the ground, her black hair fluttering lightly. Her slender, jade-like fingers are placed on the strings of the zither, slowly plucking them. The melodious music reverberates between heaven and earth like a gurgling stream. The audience and the stands show an intoxicated expression. To them, this music doesn't contain any spiritual power, but it's ethereal and earth-shaking, like the sound of nature. They feel as if their souls have been cleansed. On the other hand, the members of the Xiongba team start to become muddle-headed as soon as the music starts. Eventually, their tower-like bodies fall down one by one, and then they fall asleep on the high platform of the competition. Life is like a dream, activate. Some people have sweet dreams, and naturally, some people have nightmares. And what Mayan has given the Xiongba team is definitely a nightmare that they will never forget for a lifetime. The audience is dumbfounded when they see this scene. What's the matter with these members of the Xiongba team? Even if the sound of the zither is beautiful and comfortable to listen to, they can't just fall asleep on the competition stage. However, the next moment, everyone can only watch as the originally calm faces of the members of the Xiongba team reveal expressions of horror and pain. Those fiendish faces are twisted together, snot and tears flowing down their faces. Even if they don't open their eyes, they can clearly see that they are cowering and begging for mercy. Moreover, as the music becomes more and more melodious, the expressions of the members of the Xiongba team become more and more painful. In the end, even their bodies begin to twitch violently. Some people's crotches even become wet, and the smell of feces and urine permeates the air. What's going on? The sound of the zither is clearly very pleasant. Why are the people of the Xiongba team like bears? It should be June Mayan's zither music that made them fall into a nightmarish pain. But is there such a musician's skill in the world? Ha ha ha, no matter what, seeing the cowardly state of the mighty tyrants really makes me feel better. That's right. I've been using photographic talismans throughout the entire match. I want to see how arrogant team tyrants can be in the future. Ha ha ha, they pissed themselves in the arena. Let's see if they still have the face to show their faces in the future. The sound of the zither lasted for a full quarter of an hour before it gradually stopped. The people of the mighty tyrants opened their eyes, each and every one of them looking at Mayan in horror. They didn't even bother to ask what the girl had done to them, nor did they care about their current sorry and disgusting state. One by one, they knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. Young Master June, I beg you to spare us. We won't dare to do this again. This demoness was too scary. The dream just now had only lasted a quarter of an hour, but they felt like they had spent the rest of their lives in that hellish torture. They really didn't want to go through this kind of experience again. Chapter 1573. Mayan looked down at them for a while. When they were shaking like a sieve and about to faint again, she waved her hand generously and let them eliminate themselves. The people of Team Xiongba felt like they had been pardoned and scrambled down from the platform. As for the poisoned and unconscious Gong Kan, no one cared about him at all. He had violated the rules of the competition and reaped what he sowed. No one would sympathize with him for ending up like this. Luo Yu looked at the group of people who were scared shitless and giggled. Why do I feel like 6th Senior Sister's title of She-Devil is going to spread in the azure blue world again? Mayan was stunned. Seeing how the people of Team Xiongba looked at her like a mouse seeing a cat and ran away in fear, she couldn't help but feel depressed. It was one thing to be called a She-Devil in the Qingyun world and Minlu world. Now that she had finally gotten rid of this title, was it going to be worn again? As soon as the people of Team Xiongba went down, the host, Xiao, immediately rushed up excitedly and shouted, I announce that the winner of the second match of the third round of the Tri-Academy tournament is Stardust Carefree Team. The stands were filled with jubilation. Some people from the Stardust School were even cheering excitedly. June Mayan. Carefree Team Champion. Carefree Team Champion. The host raised her hand and gestured for everyone to quiet down. Then she looked at Mayan with a smile. Miss June, I watched the entire competition just now. You are really amazing. As such an outstanding assistant, you actually have such heaven-defying battle prowess. This is simply inconceivable. May I ask, how do you usually cultivate? Mayan smiled. I stay in the blood-slaughtering sword matrix for 2 hours every day. As soon as she said this, the stands were silent for a moment. Then the crowd burst into heated discussion. Blood-slaughtering sword matrix? Which blood-slaughtering sword matrix? Could it be the blood-slaughtering sword formation that only young Master Yun Xiao can refine? I heard that a golden core cultivator would lose a layer of skin if he stayed in there for 15 minutes. June Mayan actually stayed in there for 2 hours. Then, Mayan casually gave them a critical blow. Staying in the blood-slaughtering sword matrix for 2 hours is the most basic training course for everyone in the Carefree School. If you were to mention the other cultivation methods, these people would definitely faint from fright. In particular, Luo Yu and the others weren't able to activate their domains within a month, so they were tormented by little martial uncle and Di Mingju to the point where their lives were worse than death. Even Mu Yan wanted to escape as soon as she saw those cultivation programs. However, although the people of the Xiaoyao sect usually laughed and were lazy and playful, when it came to training, they all gritted their teeth and persevered. The female cultivator in charge stared blankly for a while before sighing. Sure enough, the strong can't be called strong just by relying on talent. For your carefree team to have such results, you deserve it. A burst of applause immediately rang out in the stands. Xiao Yao Squad. Xiao Yao Team. Xiao Yao Squad. Star's Carefree Squad will win. Carefree Team, help our starry school win the championship. In the beginning, they had thought that the Xiao Yao Squad had been lucky to reach this stage, but now, they didn't think so at all. A team that could stay in the blood-slaughtering sword formation for 2 hours every day deserved all the results, even if it was the champion. Chapter 1574. Miss June, I have another question that I have been wondering about since the beginning. I believe that all the cultivators here want to ask as well. As she spoke, her expression hardened and her voice deepened. Miss June, may I ask if you are the top student of the top 3 schools, the leader of the Green Cloud sect, Yi Liangchen? As soon as she said this, the entire Tai Square went silent. Everyone held their breath and stared at Mu Yan, waiting for her answer. This question lingered in everyone's mind, making them scratch their ears and cheeks with desire. Mu Yan looked around, then her lips curled up and she smiled slowly. His thin lips parted slightly, and his clear and sweet voice rang in everyone's ears. Take a guess. After saying this, before anyone could react, Mu Yan jumped off the stage. The people of the Xiaoyao sect also jumped off with a smile. After a moment of silence, everyone on the spectator stand wailed. What do you mean guess? Is it really him or not? Oh my god, I really want to know who God Yi is. It must be June Mayan. If it is June Mayan, why would she not admit it? I don't think so. Pfft, if not for June Mayan, would the Starry School have 2 such powerful people at once? The spectator stand was noisy. Everyone was discussing whether June Mayan was Yi Liangchen or not, but no one could give a definite answer. However, there were still a few places where the atmosphere was completely different from the others. For example, where the college chief of the top 3 schools was. The college chief of the Spiritual and Martial Arts College, Li Wenyuan's expression was extremely ugly. Hee, College Chief Zhai, the Starry School is really good at hiding. Such a powerful genius had actually hidden in the Alcade branch that had been abandoned for a long time. He had waited patiently until the Tri-Academy tournament to amaze the world with one brilliant feat. College Chief Zhai is really good at scheming and calculating. After saying this, Li Wenyuan flung his sleeves and left. In this tri-school competition, the Spiritual and Martial Arts College was completely defeated. They did not even have a team that entered the finals. They even made such a fool of themselves. Presumably, there would be fewer and fewer cultivators applying for the Spiritual and Martial Arts Academy, and his position as the dean might come to an end. How could Li Wenyuan not be angry? Xing Danqing chuckled. He stroked his beard and said, "Let me congratulate Dean Zhai first. The Alcade branch has been abandoned for many years, but now, it's amazing. I'm sure that from next year onwards, there will be countless people who want to enter the Alcade branch of Constellation." Xing Danqing waved her fan and left, leaving Di Yudao sitting there with a stiff expression. His eyes slowly flickered with fear. Many people were going to enter the Alcade institution soon. No, how could this be? In this way, how could he hide his secret? If June Mayan was really the master of the Azure Sky sect, Yi Liangchen, then everyone, including those experts, would rush to get her. Di Yudao slammed his fist on the floor of the grandstand, then looked at the departing members of the Carefree team with a sinister expression, especially the girl in the center who seemed to be surrounded by stars. His gaze seemed to be coated with poison. These pieces of trash had ruined his plans. No, he had to think of a way to completely ruin these people's reputations. He had to turn the Alcade Institute into a bloody place where no one would dare to step in again. Chapter 1575. Li Zuping did not go to Tai Square to watch the three-courtyard competition today. Because there was a message from the Ziyun realm, and because of the woman he brought back, the medicinal catalyst of the magnificent quicksand, Lu Ruoxuan woke up. When Lu Ruoxuan woke up, she found herself in a completely strange room. The room was luxurious and elegant, completely incomparable to her former dormitory in Yuheng Courtyard. At this time, scenes began to appear in her mind. These scenes were things she had never experienced before, nor had she seen before. There were even many cultivation methods. Lu Ruoxuan was ecstatic. She completely devoured Mei Xan's soul and possessed a part of her memory. Even her body naturally learned Mei Xan's strength and cultivation method. Even her cultivation had now reached the peak of Jindan's stage. Lu Ruoxuan walked to the bronze mirror and looked at the enchanting and plump woman in the mirror. Her eyes were full of pride after surviving a disaster. Ha ha ha, she was really blessed by God. That's why she could turn defeat into victory when Mei Xan took over her body. Now, not only did she restore her appearance, but her curvaceous figure, her appearance that resembled Mei Xan and Lu Ruoxuan was even more captivating. Moreover, she also possessed powerful strength. Yi Liangqin, Jun Mayan, who were they? She, Lu Ruoxuan, wanted to trample them under her feet and let them crawl in front of her, begging for death. Lu Ruoxuan raised her head and giggled. Just then, the door of the room was pushed open and Li Zuping, who heard the movement, strode in. When Li Zuping saw Lu Ruoxuan's rosy lips and powdery face, his heart settled. As the medicinal catalyst of the magnificent quicksand, of course, the healthier the better. Now that he had the medicinal catalyst, he could account to Tianyi men. If he could find the child of heaven's chosen one, he could take it for himself. A greedy light flashed in Li Zuping's eyes. He stepped forward and said, "Miss, you're awake. I saw you fainted on the ground in Danyang mountain range a few days ago, so I brought you back. Are you feeling better now?" Lu Ruoxuan saw Li Zuping and her eyes deepened. Now she had Mei Xan's memory and vision. Mei Xan used to be a cultivator at the tribulation stage, so she could tell that Li Zuping was at least at the nascent soul stage. She immediately revealed a charming smile and bowed. "I am Lu Xan. Thank you for saving my life, young master." Compared to the tacky seduction in the past. At this moment, Lu Ruoxuan's every move was filled with charm. From the inside to the outside, she exuded a temptation that could make one's blood boil. One must know that before Mei Xan died, she had forged a body of seduction. She had toyed with hundreds, if not thousands, of men. And now, all of this had benefited Lu Ruoxuan. Even though Li Zuping had long regarded Lu Ruoxuan as the guiding drug, he couldn't help but be shaken when he saw her slender waist and slightly trembling breasts. Lu Ruoxuan winked at him again. "Where is this place? May I have the honor of knowing my benefactor's name?" Li Zuping said, "This is a bedroom in the school of the Emperor Star in the Starry School, and I am Li Zuping, the leader of the Evolution Moon clan in the Ziyun realm." As soon as he said this, Li Zuping saw the surprise and admiration in Lu Ruoxuan's eyes. Lu Ruoxuan had naturally heard of the Evolution Moon clan in the Ziyun realm. Chapter 1576. For Mei Xan, who had once reached the tribulation stage, a whole master of the Flowing Moon sect was nothing. However, Lu Ruoxuan felt that she should firmly hold on to this person. Only then would she be able to take revenge as soon as possible and achieve meteoric success. Lu Ruoxuan's eyes turned red and she knelt down in front of Li Zuping. "Young Master Li, I can't repay you for saving my life. I'm willing to be your slave in my next life to repay you. I hope young Master Li won't despise me for my meanness." As she spoke, she raised her head and revealed a charming face with sparkling and translucent tears. She stared at Li Zuping with adoration and love in her eyes. Her lilac tongue unconsciously stuck out and licked her plump and rosy lips. Li Zuping couldn't help but swallow his saliva. She was really a stunner. Lu Ruoxuan walked a few steps forward and unconsciously rubbed her chest against Li Zuping's body. Her voice became more and more charming. "Young Master Li, you can do whatever you want to me. From now on, I'm yours alone." Li Zuping was a normal man and he was born with a bewitching heart. How could he endure such a scene? He picked her up and went to the bed. "Little seductress, I will definitely satisfy you." In any case, the Fenghua quicksand's catalyst would eventually turn into a pool of blood. Before that, he might as well let him enjoy it. After making love with Lu Ruoxuan, Li Zuping felt refreshed. He hugged Lu Ruoxuan's soft body in his arms and couldn't bear to let go. Lu Ruoxuan leaned into his arms, praising his bravery and her love for him. Her eyes flickered with a gloomy light. Li Zuping's body was an excellent furnace. Unfortunately, her cultivation was not high enough to absorb his essence. I'll wait. When I break through the nascent soul stage, I can naturally make this man my stepping stone. Li Zuping suddenly thought of something and asked, "Xian, why did you faint in the Danyang mountain range alone?" This woman was the catalyst of the Fenghua quicksand and also the so-called heaven's favorite. Logically speaking, everything should have been smooth sailing and she should have been stealing the luck of others. Why was she in such a miserable state when he found her? Hearing this, Lu Ruoxuan's eyes flashed with deep hatred, but it quickly disappeared and turned into a mournful cry. "I was framed and thrown into the Danyang mountain range to silence them. Sob, sob, sob. I clearly didn't do anything wrong, but that person was jealous of me and attacked me." If she hadn't met the young master, Lu Xian would have already lost her life to the ferocious beasts in the Danyang mountain range. However, Xian doesn't blame her. If it wasn't for her, how could Xian be so lucky to meet young master? The woman in his arms cried miserably. Although Li Zuping only treated her as a plaything, his heart softened a little. He said in a deep voice, "Xian, tell me who framed you. I will definitely avenge you." Lu Ruoxuan immediately raised her head and looked at him excitedly. "Young master, are you serious? Are you really willing to avenge Xian? Just as Li Zuping was about to answer, there was an urgent knock on the door. "Ho master, you wanted us to use photographic talismans to record the Carefree team's competition. This is the entire competition process, please take a look." Li Zuping's eyes lit up and he hurriedly waved his hand for a disciple to bring the photographic talismans in. Chapter 1577. In Li Zuping's heart, Lu Ruoxuan would sooner or later become a catalyst. Now that she was his exclusive plaything, she would be no different from a dead person in the future. Lu Ruoxuan obediently nestled in Li Zuping's arms, watching him activate the photographic talisman and watch the competition. However, in the void image, as soon as the figure of the girl in white appeared, Lu Ruoxuan suddenly sat up straight. Her expression slowly changed from shock to hatred. It turned out to be that slut June Mayan. In fact, Lu Ruoxuan hasn't dealt with June Mayan for a long time. However, when she thought about how she had embarrassed herself in the Alcade branch and how she had been thrown into the cesspool and even poisoned to death, she hated her to the core. June Mayan, Yi Liangchen, and the people of Yaoguang branch, she won't let any of them go. At this time, Li Zuping simply did not care about the changes in Lu Ruoxuan's expression. He stares unblinkingly at the zither in Mu Yan's hands in the image, his eyes slowly burning with greed. Later on, Mayan Seven Swords as one defeated the mighty tyrants, and used the Tian Mo Qin's music to plunge them into a nightmare. Li Zuping was so excited that he couldn't help but tremble. That zither was a divine artifact, yes, it must be a rare divine artifact in the world. It could even be a heavenly god artifact. If he could snatch it, coupled with the Son of Destiny. At the thought of this, Li Zuping almost couldn't control his surging blood. Suddenly, Li Zuping felt the woman in his arms tremble violently, and there was even a whimpering sound. Li Zuping was still lusting after Lu Ruoxuan's body, so he softened his voice, Xian, what's wrong? Lu Ruoxuan's hand trembles as she points at Jun Mayan in the image, crying, Gongzi, this woman is the one who harmed this servant. Boo-hoo-hoo, young master, you must seek justice for this servant. Li Zuping's eyes flashed as he pulled her into his embrace. Don't worry, Xian, I will definitely avenge you. Lu Ruoxuan choked with sobs. This Jun Mayan is the most cunning, and she even has the support of someone as powerful as young Master Yun Shao. Young master, you must not lower your guard. Luo Yun Shao. Li Zuping's expression changed when he heard this name. The number one swordsman in the cultivation world was not someone that anyone could afford to offend. Lu Ruoxuan hurriedly said, young Master Yun Shao and Jun Mayan are merely acquaintances. Presumably, if he knew this woman's true colors and saw how vicious and despicable she is, he would definitely not be very protective of her. Li Zuping narrowed his eyes. Therefore, in order to get rid of this Jun Mayan and take away the zither in her hands, she must first be utterly discredited. At the end of the third round, there were a total of 4 teams in the semi-finals: Phoenix Heaven King, Stellar Dubhe, Phoenix Heaven Fantasy, and Stellar Union Carefree, who had eliminated Mighty Tyrant Team. At this point, Jun Mayan, the Xiaoyao School, and the Alcade branch's reputation had spread far and wide. In this Jasper Forest Guild, it could be said that there wasn't a single person who didn't know of them. As for Master Xianhai's strength prediction ranking, it had already become a complete joke. Changle Palace was bustling with noise. If they were talking about the Phoenix Heaven King and Stellar Dubhe a few days ago, then now, almost everyone's mouth couldn't leave the Carefree Squad and Jun Mayan. Chapter 1578. When I first saw Jun Mayan's name, I thought it was just someone with the same name. I didn't expect it to be her. What? Is Jun Mayan very famous in the Azure Cloud world? It's not just famous, it's practically terror-stricken, okay? In the beginning, Jun Mayan came from the lowest level of Min Lu Jia. She had only appeared for a month, but she directly massacred the Ning family, the largest family in Min Lu Jia. That's fine, after all, Min Lu boundary is weak. But do you know about our Azure Cloud World sect selection? That Jun Mayan also participated in the last sect selection. The result? Did she go on a killing spree? TSK, what's the big deal about killing spree? Jun Mayan crippled the nephew of a Jindan stage elder of our Azure Cloud World's #1 sect, the Leaf Fire sect, and left unscathed. Hearing this, the cultivators sucked in a breath of cold air. So cruel. That batch of cultivators who entered the sect were all respectful and fearful of Jun Mayan. Some called her boss, and some gave her a nickname. What nickname? Female Devil. The Changle Palace was silent for a moment. Then, they recalled the miserable state of the mighty tyrants in the arena, where they could neither live nor die, as well as the young girl's beautiful smile that could topple cities, and they all shuddered. Female Devil. This nickname was really appropriate. Aya, what do you know? The Leaf Fire sect is already considered lucky. They only crippled the nephew of an elder. The whole unitary sect is the worst. I heard that because they were on the same mountain as the Xiaoyao sect, they wanted to bully the Xiaoyao sect because of their numbers. In the end, they were stripped naked by the female devil and paraded through the streets. Many of the people present sucked in a cold breath. Stripped. Paraded through the streets naked. What face would they have left? How could they survive in the Shuzhen continent in the future? Thinking of this scene, they couldn't help but shiver. Even their chrysanthemums felt cold. No. They absolutely couldn't provoke the Xiaoyao sect and Jun Mayan. They were too terrifying. Moreover, Mu Yan isn't the only one in the Xiaoyao sect. The others are also freaks. Our academy has an outer disciple from the whole unfettered sect. He said that everyone from the Xiaoyao sect is abnormally strong, and ordinary people can't compete with them. Could it be that the champion of this Tri-Academy tournament will really be the Carefree team? You guys say, is Jun Mayan really God Yi in the end? If it's really God Yi, then I don't think it's surprising that they won the championship. Who would have thought that the strongest team of the Starry School this time is not from the Tianshu branch, but from the Alcade branch, which only has 7 students? Stop talking. Look, isn't that someone from the Tianshu team? Ouyang Qing and Hua Xiangrong are both here. At the entrance of Changle Palace, a group of people walked in with an imposing manner. Ouyang Mingzhu, who was originally sulking after hearing everyone say, Jun Mayan, and Xiaoyao team, sees the person in the lead and immediately greets him with a smile like a flower. Gidge, you've come. Ouyang Qing glanced at Ouyang Mingzhu and nodded casually. She led the group to one of the seats and sat down. Changle Palace fell into an awkward and weird silence. Chapter 1579. I don't know what some people are thinking. They actually said that the champion this year isn't you guys, but that Carefree team. How can that team made up of 7 random teams be mentioned in the same breath as the Tianshu branch's geniuses? I think those people are all blind. Hearing this, the other members of the Tianshu team all revealed proud and indignant expressions. During this period of time, everyone had been talking about the Carefree team and had almost completely forgotten about the Tianshu team. They had always been the focus of everyone's attention and were envied by everyone. When had they ever been ignored like this? Seeing that she had aroused the indignation of the members of the Tianshu team, Ouyang Mingzhu couldn't help but feel proud. She continued, also, Yuxing is really something. He was clearly your servant in the past and received so many favors from you, but now he only cares about himself and tramples on your dignity. He's really too, bang. Before Ouyang Mingzhu could finish speaking, Ouyang Qing suddenly slammed his wine glass on the table. He turned his head and looked at her with a bone-chilling gaze, as if he wanted to tear her into pieces. The Tri-Academy tournament has always been about strength. Since he's not as good as others, what's there to complain about? There's nothing that can't be said. As he spoke, his gaze swept across everyone around him with a hint of sharpness and gentleness. Furthermore, to me, it doesn't matter if I get first place or if Xiao Xing gets first place. It doesn't matter. Ouyang Mingzhu's face twisted. She twisted the flesh on her thigh to prevent herself from showing a ferocious expression. Brother, if you face Yuxing in the tournament, will you still go easy on him? Ouyang Qing looked at her coldly. Just this look alone made Ouyang Mingzhu feel as if she had been seen through. Then, she heard the man say in a resolute voice, if we really meet in the tournament, I definitely won't go easy on him, because that would be an insult to myself and also to little Xing. What he wants has never been my meticulous care for him, but to become stronger together and walk side by side with him in the future. He didn't know this before, so he lost his treasure and spent so many years in repentance, pain, and longing for it. Now that he had finally regained it, he definitely wouldn't let his little Xing down again. Ouyang Mingzhu's expression finally broke. Brother, what are you talking about? Ling Yuxing is a man, and you're also a man. Treating him like that, aren't you afraid that Daddy will die from anger? Aren't you afraid of being despised by everyone? Ouyang Qing did not avoid the gazes of the crowd, nor did he care whether his words would be heard or not. So what? It's my freedom to like who I like. A friend who truly understands me would definitely not care about this. As for the gazes of unrelated people, what does that have to do with me? After being stunned for a moment, the members of the Dubhe team all revealed carefree expressions. Some even smiled and said that they would support Ouyang Qing. During this period of time, they had already seen Ouyang Qing's affection for Ling Yuxing. Otherwise, why would the number one person in the Starry School go to the Alcade branch every day? Chapter 1580. The onlookers were dumbfounded. However, just as someone was about to rebuke them, they were dragged away by the Starry School people to start brainwashing them. Two handsome guys standing together is so pleasing to the eye. Rather than watching Senior Ouyang being snatched away by some vixen, it's better to watch a handsome young man like Ling Yuxing. Of course, this was all thanks to Mayan's speech at the entrance of the new students, as well as Ouyang Qing's careful and subtle speech, which made the Starry School students so open-minded. As the Fengtian school people were brainwashed, they actually thought, hey, it seems that junior brother Qin Yizhou and senior brother Lu standing together is also very beautiful. Outside the Changle Palace, Mayan looked at Ling Yuxing, who was a little dumbfounded, and chuckled. Fifth senior brother, this confession is really explicit. Furthermore, those comments should have been spread by Senior Ouyang's people. Hee, senior brother Ouyang has spent a lot of effort to mend his relationship with someone. Ling Yuxing's cheeks were red, and he stammered, who wants to mend their relationship? Mayan laughed. Hey! Did I say that someone is you, fifth senior brother? Ling Yuxing glared at her, then turned around to leave. At this moment, Ouyang Mingzhu, who was unwilling to give up, suddenly looked at Hua Xiangrong. Junior sister Hua, do you think so too? That Xiaoyao team is so arrogant, and doesn't take your Tianshu team seriously at all. Aren't you angry? Don't you think it's disgusting for men to be with other men? Ouyang Mingzhu had a good idea. She knew that Hua Xiangrong and the Yinyu Palace were not on good terms with the Xiaoyao school, especially with Jun Mayan. Now that the Xiaoyao team had stolen all the limelight from the Tianshu team, and Hua Xiangrong was so competitive, how could she not be angry? Hearing this, Hua Xiangrong raised her eyebrows, and a faint smile appeared on her cold face. I've seen the photographic talisman. The Xiaoyao team, especially Jun Mayan, is indeed much stronger than all of us. Since it's a competition, there will naturally be winners and losers. The strong win, and the weak lose. What's there to be angry about? As for men being with other men. She slightly lowers her eyelids, her face revealing a trace of shyness and sweetness. If Jun Mayan really is that person, even if she's a woman, I won't change my mind. Since men and men can be together, women and women can naturally be together too. Hua Xiangrong's last few words were a little vague, but Ouyang Mingzhu heard them clearly, and so did Mu Yan and Ling Yuxing standing at the door. Ouyang Mingzhu's face was distorted, and she was so angry that smoke was coming out of her 7 orifices. However, Ling Yuxing burst out laughing. Junior sister, I think Hua Xiangrong's confession is more explicit and touching. Mayan shudders, then she turns around and leaves. Damn it, is this Hua Xiangrong deliberately playing a prank to retaliate against me? In the sleeping quarters of the school of the Emperor Star's team. The dozen or so people watched the match between Team Carefree and Team Mighty Tyrants with solemn expressions. Then, they all looked at Lu Jinhang. Boss, are you sure you can beat Jun Mayan? Lu Jinhang was silent for a long time, and then shook his head. I may not win. Damn, even you can't win, boss. Is this Jun Mayan really the master of the Green Cloud sect, Yi Liangqin? Chapter 1581. At the side, Qin Yizhou suddenly said in a low voice, she is even stronger than half a year ago. Everyone looked at Qin Yizhou in unison. Junior brother, could it be that you know her? Chinijo nodded. Half a year ago, her cultivation was only at the first level of Anidia. I fought with her at the Green Cloud World Sect Selection Competition. First level of Anidia. He reached the peak of Anidia in just half a year. A member of the King team said, however, Junior brother Ijo, you said that you were already at the 9th level of Anidia a year ago. You should have won the competition back then, right? Unexpectedly, Chinijo lightly shook his head. No, I lost. Moreover, I lost completely. I accept it wholeheartedly. What? How is this possible? Chinijo slowly says, the June Mayan that you see now should be far from displaying her full strength. She was able to defeat me because she used her domain during the battle. The pupils of everyone in the Phoenix Heavens Monarchs team, including Lu Jinheng, contracted. Domain? She's so young, but she's already mastered a domain like boss. Seeing Chinijo solemnly nod, everyone had no choice but to convert the shock in their hearts into belief. This junior brother had an old-fashioned personality and outstanding talent. He would never lie. Lu Jinheng suddenly said softly, and I don't think the other members of the Carefree squad have used their full strength. Someone had a panicked expression on his face. Can we really win against such a Carefree team? All of Team Monarch's confidence was dealt a blow. Originally, they were aiming for the championship and looked down on the other teams. But now, it seemed that there was always someone better out there. Chinijo suddenly stood up and said, even if I cannot win, I will definitely do my best. I promised June Mayan that when we meet again in the future, I will fight her again. Lu Jinheng also nodded. That's right, we are the kings of Phoenix Heaven. Even if we are not strong enough, we cannot lose our momentum. 3 days later, the 4th round began. The first match was between Star Carefree and Phoenix Heaven Fantasy. Almost as soon as the Carefree team entered the arena, thunderous applause and cheers erupted in the Tai Square. Carefree team will win. Team Carefree will win. June Mayan, show us your heaven-defying strength again. June Mayan. June Mayan. June Mayan. This kind of treatment was even more exaggerated than when the Phoenix Heavenly Warriors team and the Star Divine Pivot team went on stage. The result was completely within everyone's expectations. The Carefree team completely defeated the Phoenix Sky Fantasy team. In this match, Mu Yan assisted the whole time, and there was almost no fighting. However, no one in the fantasy team dared to attack her. They changed their strategy and used the exact opposite of Team Mighty Tyrants. 10 people surrounded the remaining 6 members of the Carefree squad. So what if June Mayan is more powerful? As long as they eliminate the other members of Xiao Yao team first, it would be the same as cutting off her wings. 1 person against 10 people, they don't believe that Mayan could still win. However, reality gave the fantasy team a heavy slap in the face. With Mu Yan's help, the fantasy team's 10 players were completely suppressed against the Carefree team's 6 players. Ling Yuma and Yun Ruhan challenged 3 peak abstinence realm experts by themselves. Just when everyone thought they were going to lose, the 2 of them unleashed their respective domains. The crowd was in an uproar. Chapter 1582. That was a domain. Even in the Purple Cloud realm, there were very few people who could activate their domain before the age of 25. But in this small Carefree team, the team that was predicted to be at the bottom before the competition, there were actually 2 geniuses who had activated their domains. There was no longer any suspense in the match. Team Fantasy lost. Although they did not lose as miserably as Team Mighty Tyrant, they accepted their loss wholeheartedly. They could not feel the slightest bit of unwillingness or resentment. Not to mention Leng Yuma and Yun Ruhan who had activated their domains. Even the remaining 4 members of the Carefree team, or even the wheelchair-bound Chu Moli, could easily defeat the members of the fantasy team one-on-one. This match is over. After June Mayan, the frightening strength of the other members of the Carefree team has finally been completely displayed in front of everyone. Yun Ruhan's steadiness, Ling Yuma's valiance, Qin Zhou's strength, Ling Yuxing's speed, Luo Yu's control over the puppets, and Chu Mo Li's treacherous and strange strategies and moves. The entire Carefree team did not have any weak support. All of them were powerful combat shouja. However, they had the strongest support in the entire competition. No one could match them and no one could shake them. That is, June Mayan. With June Mayan as the core, she connects the other 6 to form a perfect closed loop. At this moment, everyone had to admit it. The Carefree team was invincible. As soon as the end of the competition was announced, the female host rushed to the high platform excitedly. I hereby announce that the winner of the first match of the 4th round of the Tri-Academy tournament is the Stardust Carefree team. The Tai Square was immediately filled with earth-shattering cheers. The hosting female cultivator was so excited that she asked loudly without thinking, "Who do you think will be the champion of this Tri-Academy tournament?" Xiao Yao Squad. The champion is Team Xiao Yao. Carefree Squad. Xiao Yao Team. Xiao Yao Squad. The entire sky and ground of Tai Square were almost overturned by the cheers. Even the people from the Fengtian Academy and Spiritual Martial Academy were affected by the atmosphere, and they couldn't help but join in the cheering. The Phoenix Heaven Monarch and Stellar Dubhe could only smile bitterly at each other. Before Team Carefree faced Team Fantasy, they still had a sliver of confidence that they could beat Team Carefree. At this moment, he no longer held any hope. This was because the Carefree team had almost no weaknesses. Who would have thought that the weakest assistant in the team would be the strongest and most abnormal June Mayan in the Xiao Yao team? In particular, Team Monarch, who had learned from Qin Yizhou that even June Mayan had a domain, could not muster up any desire to win. In the end, the match between the Phoenix Sky Monarchs and the Stellar Sky Pivot teams ended after a stalemate of 2 hours. The winner was the Phoenix Sky Monarchs team. 3 days later, it would be the 5th round of the Tri-Academy tournament of the Jadewood Meet, which was also the final match. The Phoenix Heaven King would fight against Stellar Union Carefree for the championship, while the Dubhe team would fight against the Fantasy Illusion team for 3rd place. However, almost everyone believed that there was no doubt who would be the final champion. On the grandstand where the deans of the 3 courtyards were, Xing Danqing shook her head slowly and sighed softly. College Chief Shai, the Starry School is truly impressed that the Phoenix Sky Academy is able to nurture a team like the Carefree team. The championship this time is yours. He glanced at Di Yudao and suddenly asked, "Dean Zhai, why do you look unhappy?" Chapter 1583. Xing Danqing doesn't think too much about it. Withdrawing her gaze, there's a trace of reminiscence in her expression. "Dean Zhai, do you still remember the scene when we were studying at the 3 major academies? At that time, it was also the Alcade branch. With a team of 8 people, we finally defeated all the opponents and won. Yao Guang was also a zither master. She could also assist and fight. Of course, the Alcade team at that time wasn't as heaven-defying as the current Carefree team. But Yao Guang's elegance at that time was something that we couldn't forget for a long time. It's just that we don't know why she suddenly disappeared without a trace. Since then, we haven't heard any news of her. I remember that at that time, Yao Guang and you were still from the same sect, right?" Di Yudao clenches his fists tightly, tensing his nerves to prevent himself from showing any abnormalities. Hee, I don't remember things from so many years ago. Yeah, it's been so many years. Xing Danqing says with emotion, many people have been forgotten. But you don't have to worry. Now that the carefree team is shining brightly, many people will remember the glory of the Alcade branch. Maybe the missing Yao Guang will come back when she hears the news. Bang! The thing in Di Yudeo's hand suddenly falls to the ground, his eyes filled with horror. When Xing Danqing looks over in surprise, he quickly pulls out a smile and casually brushes it off. But when Xing Danqing turns her gaze away, Di Yudeo's face immediately contorts, his eyes full of fear and resentment. Suddenly, he remembers the news he received a few days ago, and thinks of those famous people who participated in the Qiongling gathering. If this news is handled well, perhaps it can make the carefree team lose all standing and reputation, and no one would dare to mention it again. On the other side, Li Zuping's expression is gloomy, his eyes shining as he stares at Mayan in the stands. He whispers to the Lan Huahong, sitting on the side, "Your Highness, do you remember what I ordered you to do?" Lan Huahong licks his lips and looks at Mayan lecherously. "You promised that after this is done, you will give this woman to Gu." "Of course." Li Zuping coaxes with a smile, "This subordinate only wants that zither. As for that woman, after her reputation is ruined and her cultivation is abolished, she will naturally be rewarded to your Highness. When that time comes, your Highness can play with her however you want." Hearing Li Zuping's promise, Lan Huahong's eyes shine with excitement. The blood of his whole body seems to boil and converge. Because of this rising desire, the veins on the back of his hands suddenly bulged, and his entire arms suddenly swelled up. Li Zuping was startled. He looked at Lan Feng, who was in front of him, and hurriedly transferred his spiritual energy into Lan Huahong's body to stabilize the changes in his body. "Your Highness, please control yourself in front of many people." Li Zuping spoke with a gloomy expression. "If Lan Feng notices something unusual and spoils Marquis's plans, then we'll all die a graveless death." Lan Huahong glared at Lan Feng indignantly, gritted his teeth, and said in a low voice, "Haven't gotten the soul bead yet? How much longer do I have to endure that old fart Lan Feng? Gu of gu of gu of gu will lon 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 of lon of Chen lon 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 of lon 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 of Lan Huahong lon of Chapter 1584. Glory, splendor, wealth, servants, beautiful maids, delicacies, treasures, everything. Everything in this world belonged to him. And his path to imperial power would start from conquering and trampling on that ungrateful woman, Jun Mayan. The fifth round of the Tri-Academy tournament was divided into 2 days. On the first day, the Tianshu team and the fantasy team fought for third place, because only the top 3 were qualified to go to the Dragon Soaring Academy to participate in the exchange. For their own glory, to seize the opportunity, the 2 teams had to go all out. Therefore, this match was even more important than the fight for first place, and there was more suspense. Yangqing was about to go up when he suddenly heard a familiar voice calling him. He quickly turned around and confirmed that it was the person he had been thinking about day and night. His eyes were full of smiles. "Sheng, are you here to watch my match?" Ling Yuxing turned his head awkwardly. "I'm just looking around. I'm not here to watch your match." Yangqing still smiled foolishly. "Sheng, if I win, I can go to the Dragon Soaring Academy with you. We can still spend a lot of time together." In Ling Yuxing's mind, Yangqing had always been a calm and powerful young master. He had never seen him act so foolishly. She could not help but burst into laughter. "Look at your silly face. We'll talk about it after you win." Yangqing suddenly reached out and pulled the young man's slender body into his arms. "Sheng, I'm so happy. Just you wait, I'll definitely win. You're so strong, I can't be too weak. Otherwise, how can I be worthy of you? Ling Yuxing blushed and pushed him away. You're crazy. You're in public. However, when he turned around, he saw the teasing but friendly smiles of the Tianshu team members. He blushed and quickly turned into a shadow and disappeared. On the spectator stand, Ouyang Mingzhu saw this scene. Her face was twisted and her eyes were full of murderous intent. Perhaps because of Ling Yuxing's encouragement, Ouyang Qing exerted 200% of his strength in the match. The fantasy team retreated step by step and finally lost without any suspense in Ouyang Qing's realm. Tai Square turned into a sea of joy. This year, the Starry School had won a great victory. In the end, 2 teams entered the finals, and one of them had a 90% chance of winning. This made all the students of the Starry School feel proud and elated in front of the other 2 schools. It was an indescribable joy. Serves you right. Let them brag before the competition, say that Starry School would be at the bottom and brag about how strong their team was. This time, he was slapped in the face. However, as soon as the competition ended, there was a sudden commotion in the spectator stands where the aristocratic families were seated. Then, the Lu clan, Duan clan, Feng clan, Duan clan, and Nalan clan's patriarchs' expressions changed, and they hurriedly left the grandstand. Lu Ruo. Seeing this scene, he could not help but secretly follow them. Although her current cultivation level was not high, she cultivated the bewitching art, so she was far superior to ordinary people in terms of charm and stealth. The clan heads of the 5 great clans were burning with anxiety and panic, so they didn't realize that she was following behind them. Chapter 1585. The others were also very anxious. Madame Duan even cried out, "My Z, who is so cruel to do this to my Z? If I find out, I will definitely tear him into pieces." Sob, sob, sob. Doan School was a school jointly established by a few major clans. There were not many students, but every single one of them was the treasure of the various clans. Usually, Dawn Academy's security measures were excellent. There were the best tutors to guide the children in their cultivation, and there were also people who took care of their daily needs. There were even dozens of golden core cultivators guarding the academy. That was why the clans were so at ease to let their children study in the school. But now, they were telling him that their treasure had gone missing. "Speak. What is going on?" Lu Zhenjiang said sternly. "If you can't tell me where Chu Yuan went, all of you in Dawn School will have your heads chopped off." The person was wearing the uniform of Dawn School. Hearing this, he knelt on the ground and cried, "I'm innocent." It was a few young masters and young mistresses who sneaked out of the school and entered the Danyang mountain range. When we found out, we immediately chased after them. But the Danyang mountain range is too big. We sent everyone to search but couldn't find them. Later on, they finally found young Master Lu's clothes with much difficulty. At the same time, they caught sight of a few suspicious people. We quickly sent people to chase after them, but the thieves' cultivation was very high and they were very cunning. They actually escaped to the east of the Danyang mountain range and disappeared. "You're saying that you let the thieves escape?" Lu Zhenjiang and the others glared at him as if they wanted to tear him into pieces. The person quickly screamed, "We did let the thieves escape, but after a few days of searching, we still found some clues. Beside the tower of Starry School, we found the young masters' and young mistresses' clothes again. The clothes were stained with blood. So we guessed that the thieves must have escaped into Starry School." Di Yudao, who was at the side, was shocked when he heard Yi Futian's words. You're saying that the people who kidnapped the young master and the young lady are students of our Starry School?" He looked at Lu Zhenjiang and the others in a panic. Clan leaders, that's impossible. The Starry School has always had strict rules. Usually, there are school supervisors patrolling and inspecting the various branches. If someone had really entered the Pilyang mountain range to kidnap the young masters and young mistresses, how could they not be discovered by the dean? Please don't misunderstand us, patriarchs. Lu Junjiang, Duan Xiangyang, Nailan Qing, Murong Bai, and Duan Xiangyang, these 5 clan lords were all ashen. They were like dragons that had their reverse scales touched, ready to kill at any moment. No matter who dared to touch their treasures, they must be killed without mercy. The guard from the Dawn School felt the murderous intent and shouted in panic, but the young master and the young lady's bloody clothes were found in the Starry School. Masters, look, this is the blood-stained robe I found beside the Linglong Tower. The bloody clothes were small and there were only 2 of them. One of them was for a boy and the other was for a girl. Chapter 1586. Nailan Qing picked up the girl's clothes, his whole body trembling. It's Yanyan's. This is the defensive clothing I prepared for Yanyan. My Yanyan, what did you do to my Yanyan? In an instant, the leaders of the 5 clans looked at Di Yudao together, their eyes filled with ferocity. Di Yudao and the leaders of the 5 clans were all nascent soul cultivators, but their status in the Azure Blue world was much higher than Di Yudao's. This was because they had a huge force behind them. In the Purple Cloud world, the 5 clans had their main families, and there were even tribulation passing experts in the main families. These people from the side families of the Azure Blue world, if they were talented and their cultivation increased, they could be taken back by the main families. Among the younger generation of the 5 clans, Lu Hongyuan and the others happened to be the most talented. They had planned to train them well and let them achieve great things one day. Who knew that such a thing would happen? How could they not go crazy? Di Yudao had to bear the pressure of 5 nascent soul cultivators alone. His face turned pale and his voice trembled slightly. If the clan leaders do not believe me, you can send people to search the various branches of the Starry School. Our school has strict management. The students in the school don't have time to go so far to kidnap the young masters and young mistresses. At this time, a child beside Di Yudao suddenly said casually, the other branches can't, but the Yaoguang branch is different. There are only 7 people in the whole school. There are no tutors or supervisors. No one knows what they do normally. Also, the Yaoguang branch is so big but there are so few people. If they really hide something, no one will know. Qing Feng, shut up. Don't be presumptuous. The Yaoguang branch is the champion of the tri-school tournament. How could they do such a thing? Di Yudao immediately stopped the child from speaking. He looked at the leaders of the clans nervously. Lu Junjiang's expression immediately turned serious. The Yaoguang branch has no supervision. Is what he said true? Yes, yes. Di Yudao wiped the sweat off his forehead. But the people of the Yaoguang branch don't have to do such a thing. Jun Mayan could be the leader of the Qingyun sect, Yi Liangqin. Why would she do such a thing? Young master and young lady's bloody clothes were found near the Linglong Tower. The guard of Dawn Academy immediately shouted, since that Jun Mayan is the master of the Azure Sky Academy, she must often go to the Linglong Pagoda. Maybe the bloody clothes were thrown away at that time. Search. Even if I have to turn the entire Starry School upside down, I will find him. Nailan Qing slammed the table. The sturdy mahogany table was instantly smashed into pieces. Especially that alcade branch. Search it thoroughly for me. I'd like to see who has the guts to touch my precious granddaughter. The faces of the other 4 patriarchs were also filled with killing intent. It was conceivable that if they caught the culprit who kidnapped the child, the culprit would definitely die a horrible death. Du Dao replied with a face full of fear and trepidation, but when he turned his head, he revealed a sinister smile. This time, the Alcade branch wouldn't have a chance to make a comeback. On the roof, Lu Ruoxuan heard all of this, and the corner of her mouth raised into a sly smile. Such an opportunity was truly hard to come by. If Yap Liangchen was Jun Mayan, then this time, she would be able to get rid of these two people that she hated to the bone. Chapter 1587. On the eve of the Tri-Academy Tournament Finals, the entire school of the Emperor's Star suddenly fell into a tense atmosphere. When they woke up the next morning, the Xiaoyao team was about to go to Tai Square to participate in the final match. However, they found that the school of the Emperor's Star was filled with people patrolling everywhere. These people were dressed in the clothes of the major clans, and each of them had a profound cultivation base. They were solemnly inspecting every inch of the place. What's going on? Luo Yu yawned. Why are there suddenly so many people? Someone at the side immediately explained to them enthusiastically, I heard that the young masters of the major clans were kidnapped from Dawn School. Those thieves actually escaped into our starry school and are now searching for them everywhere. Mu Yan was stunned and sadness flashed across her eyes. She could understand why the major clans would make such a big fuss. If she could find her Xiao Bao, she could do anything. Although the atmosphere in Starry School was tense because of the thieves, the Tri-Academy Tournament Finals still had to go on. The stands were still filled with people. All the Xiuxia's expressions were excited, completely unaffected by the tense atmosphere. When the hosting female cultivator stood on the stage and announced the start of the finals, the crowd burst into a tsunami of cheers. Some people were shouting Xingqian team while others were shouting Feng Tianwang team. Shouts of Ajun Mu Yen and Lu Jinheng also rose and fell. The two teams stood under the stage and looked at each other. Lu Jinheng cupped his hands at Mu Yen and smiled. Although we are not as strong as you, many people may think that the championship belongs to your Xiaoyao team. But no matter what, we will give our best. Mu Yan glanced at Qin Yizhou and then back at Lu Jinheng. Same to you. We will give our best too. This was the only way to show the greatest respect to the opponent. The hosting female cultivator shouted, let's invite Feng Tianwang team onto the stage. Lu Jinheng and the others jumped onto the stage one after another. Their movements were light and elegant, causing a round of applause. Next, let's invite Xingqian team onto the stage. Another round of applause came from the spectator stands. Mu Yan and the others were about to go up. Suddenly, a cold shout came from high up in the stands. Wait! This shout contained a lot of inner force. It shook one's lungs and echoed in the ears of the thousands of people on the viewing platform. There was a sudden silence as everyone raised their heads and looked up. Lan Huahong's figure slowly walked out of the small house that represented nobility and uniqueness. He condescendingly swept his eyes over the dense crowd in the stands with a bit of disdain. Finally, his gaze fell on Mu Yan, and he said in a deep voice, Someone, come and capture that thief for me. His hand is pointing in Mayan's direction. Almost as soon as his voice falls, a nascent soul cultivator at Lan Huahong's side turns into a flash of lightning, charging straight towards Mu Yan. The expressions of the members of Carefree Squad changed drastically. They all wanted to raise their swords to block. But all of this happened too suddenly, and they had no time to react at all. With a loud bang, a dazzling white light burst out from the bottom of the arena, and a wave of qi rolled. The faint sound of a zither reverberated in the air. The Yuanying Xiuxia flipped in the air and landed on the ground. His expression was grave and shocked as he looked at the young female nearby. Chapter 1588. After the nascent soul cultivator landed on the ground, Mu Yan's face turned pale and she couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Junior sister. Junior sister, how are you? Sixth senior sister, don't scare me. The people of the Xiaoyao team quickly surround Mayan, their faces full of worry. The people who witnessed this scene felt their hearts in their throats. What the hell happened? Why would an honored guest of the Purple Cloud Realms suddenly attack Mayan? That nascent soul Xiuzhe was definitely the most shocked out of all of them. As a nascent soul cultivator, he didn't care about his dignity and face to sneak attack a little girl at the stage of fasting. Originally, it was to follow Li Zuping's instructions and abolish Mayan's cultivation in the blink of an eye. At that time, even if she couldn't get any results from the theory, what was the use of her, a cripple, holding the zither? He didn't expect that his full power attack, as a nascent soul cultivator, would be blocked. Behind Lan Huahong, Li Zuping was not disappointed. Instead, he looked even more excited. Because he just saw Jun Mayan pluck the strings. In other words, it was the zither that blocked the nascent soul cultivator's attack. If such a divine object were to fall into his hands, thinking of this, Li Zuping immediately gave Lan Huahong a look. Lan Huahong jumped down from the platform and landed next to the nascent soul cultivator. He said sternly, "What are you waiting for? Didn't you hear my order? Hurry up and capture that thief. How dare you hurt my junior sister?" Yun Ruhan's face was ashen. A dignified nascent soul cultivator, the personal guard of the Lan Empire's 11th prince, actually dared to make a move on a little girl in the fasting realm. Do you have any shame? If word of this gets out in the future, wouldn't people think that the Lan clan empire is a bunch of shameless bastards that bully the weak? As soon as he said that, Lan Huahong, Li Zuping, and the two nascent soul cultivators' expressions changed drastically. Impudent. The nascent soul stage cultivator who had just attacked bellowed, and suddenly attacked Yun Ruhan and Mu Yan, "This old man will kill you right now." The pressure and attack of a nascent soul cultivator was not something an ordinary cultivator could withstand. A wave of heat seemed to be burning in the air, covering the sky and covering the earth, and the killing intent was awe-inspiring. Even before the attack arrived, Yun Ruhan was already pale and on the verge of collapsing. Even the clan of the Shao sect couldn't withstand this attack. However, right at this moment, Lan Huahong and the others suddenly heard a shout from behind them. "Stop! Yun, don't you have enough shame?" Before, another voice, the Mu'ovd of Moon's sect. In the blink of an eye, the nascent soul cultivator's attack was defeated. Yun Ruhan heaved a long sigh of relief. With Luo Yu's support, she steadied herself and held Luo Yu's hand. On the other side, Lan Huahong and the others angrily turned their heads and saw Lan Feng walking over with a cold expression. "Of Moon. Of you. Clan cultivator Lan, you dare." Lan Feng looked at Lan Huahong with a face full of disapproval, and didn't have the slightest intention of shrinking back. "Your Highness, you're a prince of the Lan imperial family, and you represent the face of the Lan imperial family. How could he allow his subordinates to bully the weak? As your imperial tutor, if I allow you to lose face of Lan imperial family, how will I explain to His Majesty and Empress when I return?" Lan Huahong's face turned green and white, but he couldn't say a word. Chapter 1589. With just a few words, this person has tied their actions to the Lan royal family, forcing Lan Feng, the person who values face the most, to step forward. What a good scheme. However, do they think they can escape like this? Li Zuping steps forward and slightly salutes Lan Feng. "Lan Darren, you don't know, but His Highness ordered Mayan to be captured because she stole His Highness's treasure." Mayan feeds Yun Ruhan an elixir, then looks up and says, "Treasure? What treasure did I steal from His Highness?" To make His Highness so flustered and exasperated that he doesn't even care about his face, sending a nascent soul cultivator to attack us juniors. Lan Huahong sneers and points to the zither in her hand. You stole this one zither. Mayan bursts into laughter. Your Highness, I've been using this zither to fight for several days, but you've only just discovered that this zither is yours. Those who know would think that your Highness is slow to react, that your mind isn't fast enough. Those who don't know would think that you're eager to hunt and want to take whatever good thing you see for yourself. As soon as these words come out, the scene goes silent for a moment. Immediately, there's a burst of fierce discussion in the stands. Snatching someone else's thing after taking a fancy to it, isn't this too much? Who asked him to be an honored guest from the Xian realm, and a member of the royal family? Whatever he wants from the Azure Blue realm, don't we have to offer it up with both hands? That doesn't mean he can't take it by force. Moreover, he directly sent a nascent soul expert to attack a girl at the stage of fasting. He clearly wants to silence her and take the treasure for himself, right? I didn't expect that the Prince of the Lan Empire is such a sinister person. The surrounding people's discussion enters Lan Fang's ears, making him tremble with anger. He doesn't understand how the 11th Highness, who used to be well-behaved and obedient in the palace, would become like this after leaving the palace. If the rumor that the Prince of the Lan Empire had forcibly seized the treasure of a young cultivator from the Azure Blue realm, how could the Lan Empire have a foothold in the Xian realm in the future? Your Highness, don't talk nonsense. Lan Fang's face darkened as he said, this subordinate has been by your side for so many years, but I've never seen you with a zither. You're not good at the zither either, so how could that thing be yours? Lan Huahong had naturally heard the doubts of the surrounding people towards him. Now that Lan Feng had refuted him without giving him any face, it instantly caused him to feel that he had lost all face, and he flew into a rage out of humiliation. Before he could erupt, Li Zuping hurriedly stopped him and said to Lan Feng, Lord Lan might not know this, but this zither is a gift that my Flow Moon sect prepared to present to His Highness. It is called the Primordial Zither. Because the place where it was discovered was in the Danyang mountain range of the Azure Blue world, it was not transported back to Xian Nation. Instead, it was prepared to be presented to Your Highness at the Jasper Forest gathering. Who knew that the zither would be stolen from the Danyang mountain range while it was being transported? Li Zuping vowed, when I first saw Miss June's zither, I felt that it was somewhat similar to the primordial zither. However, he was also afraid that he would wrongly accuse someone, so he didn't dare to bring it up. Instead, he sent someone to investigate first. With this investigation, the zither in Mayan's hands is indeed the primordial zither. Chapter 1590. On the stage, Qi Nizhou immediately steps forward and says indifferently, I can testify that during the Great Sect Tournament of the Blue Cloud World, June Mayan had taken out this zither. In fact, Mayan didn't directly play the Tian Mo Qin in the Great Sect Tournament. Her main fighting weapon was the Tian Mo Qin's 7 absolute swords. However, Qi Nizhou still comes forward to testify without hesitation. First, he believes in June Mayan's character. Second, he saw Mayan's Tian Mo Qin transform into the 7 absolute swords with his own eyes, and these 7 absolute swords are exactly the same as the long sword he used in battle. With Qi Nizhou in front, quite a few people in the stands also shout out. We've also seen June Mayan play this zither a long time ago. At that time, His Highness the 11th Highness still hadn't come to our Azure Blue world. How could it be stealing His Highness zither? That's right, I saw June Mayan play the zither during the entrance examination. Li Zuping's complexion is a bit unsightly, secretly blaming this group of trash from Azure Blue world for ruining his good fortune. However, his expression has always been very calm. Hearing this, he sneers and says, You haven't seen this zither up close, how would you know that she didn't swap it midway? I'll only ask you one thing. In your azure blue world, have you ever seen a zither that's as powerful as the one in June Mayan's hands? Or even half as powerful as it? The discussion in the stand suddenly quiets down a bit. They really haven't seen such a powerful zither. Yi Xiaoqin suddenly stands up, looking at June Mayan with a cold expression. She says in a clear voice, "The power of that zither is 100 times more powerful than my Yi family's century-old red flame pipa. Let alone seeing such a zither in azure blue world, I've never even heard of it." Ha! Li Zuping strokes his beard and says, "It's normal that you haven't heard of it, because this primordial zither isn't an ordinary spiritual tool, but a divine tool." What? A divine tool? Really? I haven't even seen an 8th grade spiritual tool. I didn't expect that this zither is actually a divine tool. Heavens, so it's a divine artifact. No wonder it's so powerful. Li Zuping's face suddenly turns cold, raising his voice. "June Mayan, can you tell me, you're just a cultivator at the stage of fasting, you've never been to Ziyunjia, so where did you get this artifact?" Then, without waiting for Mayan's reply, he continued, "Can't say it, right? This divine artifact doesn't even belong to you. You stole it from the Pilyang mountain range when my subordinates weren't paying attention. I admit that you do have some small tricks up your sleeve, but aren't you being too greedy? You want to rely on the divine artifact to make a name for yourself and show off in the Jasper Forest Guild. Do you think that I won't be able to recognize the primordial chaos zither just because it looks shabby and unassuming? Little did you know that Heaven's Net has a long way to go. Little thief, you have finally revealed your true colors." It turns out that June Mayan and the Carefree team were able to achieve such a good result because they used a heaven-defying artifact. On the grandstand, many people had subtle expressions on their faces. Clap, clap, clap. Mayan slowly claps her hands, showing a meaningful smile towards Li Zuping. "So, Hall Masterly believes that the zither in my hand is your so-called primordial zither." Chapter 1591. Since it's a zither that the Flowing Moon sect found, then surely Hall Masterly can bring out the power of this zither better than a little cultivator at the stage of fasting, right? Li Zuping raises his chin, his expression arrogant. "The primordial zither is a divine tool. Even I don't dare to say that I can bring out the full power of this zither. But compared to a little thief like you who stole the zither, I'm naturally more worthy of this divine tool." Mayan sighs softly and shakes her head. "That being the case, regardless of whether this zither is mine or not, I don't dare to casually take it. After all, an ordinary man's wealth is his own ruin. However, since Hall Masterly wants to take this zither away, shouldn't you demonstrate on the spot how earth-shattering the true power of this divine tool is?" The corners of her mouth curl up into a faintly discernible arc. "Otherwise, how can Hall Masterly prove that this zither is your so-called primordial zither? Don't tell me that just because your upper lip touches the lower lip, my things have become your Flowing Moon sect's divine tool." Li Zuping's complexion stiffens. He's being checkmated by Mayan. But then he thinks that since this zither can bring out such great power in the hands of a little girl at the stage of fasting, there's no reason that he can't. Thus, he says with a profound expression, "This primordial zither is something that our Flowing Moon sect has just found. I haven't familiarized myself with it, so I naturally can't bring out the full power of the divine tool. But I can still let you experience it a little." His words are very slick. If the power of the primordial zither that he shows is not as great as expected, he can say that it's because he's still not familiar with the effects and attributes of the divine tool. "Now, can I ask you to return my Flowing Moon sect's divine tool?" Mayan's mouth holds a shallow smile. Almost without any hesitation, she hands over the Tian Mo Qin in her hands. Li Zuping can't react for a moment. He thought that this girl would certainly struggle and be unwilling. He didn't expect that she would so readily give the zither to him. But then, he shows an ecstatic smile. grabs the zither and holds it in his arms. Since this zither is in his hands, no one can take it away. Hall Masterly, shouldn't you show me the power of the primordial zither? Mu Yen said unhurriedly, we, the young cultivators of the blue world, are all eager to see the world. Li Zuping glanced at her coldly, his eyes filled with disdain. This June Mayan couldn't possibly think that she would be unable to control the zither after putting her divine sense imprint on it, right? What a joke, it was just the spiritual imprint of a little cultivator at the stage of fasting, he could easily erase it. Li Zuping carefully picked up the zither and looked at it greedily. Then, he suddenly poured his spiritual power into the zither and plucked the strings with his other hand. He deliberately plucks the strings towards Mayan, wanting to catch her off guard and teach her a lesson. However, the ear-piercing and unpleasant sound of the zither rang out and slowly disappeared. In the end, nothing changed. The scene fell into a strange silence. Everyone looked at Li Zuping strangely. Li Zuping's face was full of disbelief, and his face was flushed. Just now, he had used 50% of his spiritual power, but when he poured it into the zither, it was like a clay ox entering the sea, disappearing without a trace. Chapter 1592. This time, the sound is even more ear-piercing than before. It's like a demonic sound, causing many people to frown and cover their ears. However, the surroundings are still quiet. There's no spiritual chi fluctuation, no swift and fierce attacks, and there's no dazzling divine skill like what Mayan displayed on the competition stage. Pfft. After a moment of silence, someone finally couldn't help but laugh out loud. And the people of the Xiaoyao sect don't give them any face as they convulse with laughter. Oh my, so this is the so-called divine tool, the primeval zither. It's really powerful and awe-inspiring. That's right, that's right. My ears are hurting. That sound just now was so unpleasant that I wanted to find a hole to crawl into. If someone made this kind of demonic sound in the competition, our Xiaoyao team might just admit defeat. Ha ha ha. You're really worthy of being a nascent soul stage Hall Masterly. The power of this zither in my junior sister's hands is really less than 1,000th of its power in yours. The voices of the people of the Xiaoyao sect are loud and clear, so that everyone in the Tai Square can hear them clearly. Immediately, there's a roar of laughter. Li Zuping's face turns red and purple. Embarrassment, humiliation, and anger make his whole body tremble. He's the dignified hall master of the Flowing Moon sect. When has he ever been humiliated like this? Li Zuping suddenly glares at Mayan and roars, what did you do to this zither? Mayan brushes her clothes and says unhurriedly, Hall Masterly must be joking. I'm just a little fasting stage cultivator. Even if I did something to this zither, how could a nascent soul cultivator like Hall Masterly not see through it? Not to mention, Hall Masterly also said that this is your Flowing Moon sect zither. Hee, so it turns out that the people of the Flowing Moon sect can only find divine tools, but can't use them. Li Zuping is immediately speechless. Lan Feng fiercely brushes his sleeves and grits his teeth, this is really a disgrace. Li Zuping, when we return, I'll report to His Majesty and Her Ladyship. A person like you will only lead His Highness astray if he stays by her side. And you too, if you dare to let His Highness mess around again, don't blame me for being impolite. Lan Feng fiercely pointed at the two nascent soul cultivators and gave Lan Huahong a warning look. Lan Feng was a subject in name, but in reality, he also had the blood of the imperial family. Moreover, he was deeply trusted by the Lan Empire's emperor, so his status in the palace was extremely high. Therefore, even though Lan Huahong and the two nascent soul cultivators were scolded like grandchildren, they didn't dare to say anything. Not to mention Li Zuping, he was so angry that he almost fainted in the face of the mockery and ridicule of thousands of people. He had never expected that he would go for wool and come home shorn. He had thought that it would be easy to snatch his zither from this little cultivator of the azure blue realm. Who would have thought that this woman would be so cunning, causing him to lose face in front of everyone? Luo Yu took a step forward and said loudly, all masterly, since you can't activate this zither, does that mean that this isn't the primordial zither you speak of? Why don't you return the zither to my 6th senior sister? Li Zuping's face was livid, but his hand tightly held on to the zither, not letting go. Although he couldn't use this zither for the time being, this zither had endured 90% of his spiritual power without any change. This proved that this was definitely a powerful magic treasure. It might even be of a higher grade than a divine tool, which was why he couldn't control it. Since such a treasure was in his hands, how could he give it away? Chapter 1593. Fortunately, Luoyu reacted quickly and narrowly avoided it. Li Zuping coldly said, I said that this zither belongs to my Flowing Moon sect, so it belongs to my Flowing Moon sect. Who do you low-level cultivators of Azure Blue Realm think you are, daring to question me? These words can be said to be very shameless, very blatantly robbing other people's treasures. On the Tai Square, whether it's the students of the 3 academies or the people of the major sects and families, their complexions are unusually unsightly. Some people with unyielding characters are even more direct. I didn't expect that the people of Ziyun Realm are actually such shameless trash. They want to cheat others' treasures after taking a fancy to them, and when they can't cheat, they still want to take it by force. Really too shameless. 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 Li Zuping has already steeled his heart to take this zither for himself. Regardless of what these people say, he wants to put the zither into his storage space. However, after running his divine sense several times, he finds that the zither in his hand doesn't move. It can't be put into his storage ring. Qi Huang's gloating laughter rings in Mayan's mind. He wants to put away the Tian Mo Qin with a mere storage space. Does he know that even a corner of the Tian Mo Qin is 10,000 times bigger than his storage space? At this time, Lan Feng is already furious to the extreme. Li Zuping, I order you to immediately return the zither. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Li Zuping's complexion is ashen, but he turns his head and hands the zither to Lan Huahong. Lan Darren, you're wrong. This zither was given to His 11th Highness by my Flowing Moon sect. Now, it already belongs to His 11th Highness. Does Lan Darren want to snatch the treasure from His 11th Highness? Or does Lan Darren think that you have a high status and power, that even His 11th Highness has to listen to you? Lan Huahong has no interest in the broken zither in his hand, but he remembers that Li Zuping said that he would let him have Mayan's promise if he obtained the zither. His eyes flash with greed, and he immediately says, yes, this zither is Gu's. Lan Feng, you want to rob Gu's thing, are you trying to rebel? Lan Feng is so angry that he can't speak. Li Zuping is already looking at Mayan with a sneer. What's more, Mayan, how can you prove that this zither is yours? Could it be that your name is engraved on the zither? Even if such a precious treasure was covered in dust and fell into the hands of a little girl who was at the stage of fasting, it would only last for a while. Even a nascent soul stage cultivator like him couldn't move this zither in the slightest. He doesn't believe that Jun Mayan could leave any mark on it. Mu Yan couldn't help but want to laugh, because this Tian Mo Qin really has her name engraved on it. Moreover, she didn't carve it herself, but when the Tian Mo Qin recognized her as its master, it appeared on its own. Just as she's about to speak, a tender and soft voice suddenly rings out from the crowd. I can testify that this zither belongs to Jun Mayan. Miss Jun. Everyone turned to look at the source of the voice. When Li Zuping saw who was speaking, his face instantly turned frosty. Lu Axin. Was this slut going to betray him? Mu Yan also turned her head to look at the person who spoke. She saw that it was a beautiful woman with a curvaceous figure. Every move she made was filled with charm. Chapter 1594. Lu Ruoxuan slowly walks to the center of the crowd. When she receives Li Zuping's murderous gaze, she stealthily sends him a "don't be impatient" expression. Then she says coquettishly, "Some time ago, this servant accidentally witnessed a killing scene in the Danyang mountain range. The scene was really very bloody." As she speaks, she caresses her chest, revealing a frightened expression. Many male Xiao can't help but swallow their saliva when they see her heaving breasts and perky buttocks. Lu Ruoxuan vaguely glanced at Mayan and continued, "At that time, there was a party that used this zither to kill people. At that time, I clearly saw that the one who used the zither to kill people was Miss June Mayan." Mayan's complexion suddenly turns cold. "When did she kill people in the Danyang mountain range?" Li Zuping coldly says, "Even if you saw her use this zither to kill people, how can you be sure that she didn't steal it from my Flowing Moon sect? What's more, who are you? Do you think you can testify with just a few words?" Lu Ruoxuan looks flustered and sobs, This servant is just a weak woman, this servant doesn't know anything." But that day, this servant really saw Miss June use this zither to kill people. Miss June is so powerful, those people were not her opponent. Right. At that time, Miss June was tied up with a few children, covered in blood and somewhat pitiful. This servant felt distressed at that time and wanted to persuade her to treat the children better, but that zither was really too powerful. This servant didn't dare. Woo. What children? How could there be children by June Mayan's side? Moreover, June Mayan actually killed people in the Danyang mountain range. Who did she kill? Do you believe this woman's nonsense? You can't say that. This girl originally came to testify for June Mayan. How could she harm her? The crowd is discussing. Li Zuping seems to realize something and no longer anxiously refutes Lu Ruoxuan. The people of the Xiaoyao sect have ugly expressions. What nonsense are you talking about? Our junior sister is with us every day. When did she kill people in the Danyang mountain range, and when did she tie up any children? Don't slander my sixth sister. Lu Ruoxuan staggered a step back, revealing a panicked expression. No, I was wrong, I didn't see anything. I didn't know that June Mayan kidnapped those little Gongzi and little Miss. Don't kill me, I won't say anything. When the people of the Xiaoyao sect saw that she was acting like this, they knew that their junior sister had killed someone. They were immediately enraged. However, before they could react, a few people rushed in from not far away. What kind of children did you just say? Do you have my Z? What happened to my Z? The center of Tai Square was in chaos. Everyone was still in a daze, but when they saw who it was, they all sucked in a breath of cold air. Nalan clan's patriarch Nalan Qing, Duan clan's patriarch Duan Xiangyang, Lu clan's patriarch Lu Zhenjiang, Murong clan's patriarch Murong Bai, Feng clan's patriarch Feng Yi, and even a few other matriarchs. It could be said that the most powerful people in the entire Azure Blue Realm had all appeared here. Chapter 1595. My Z. Madame Duan screamed and almost fainted. Nalan Qing grabbed Lu Ruoxuan's clothes and roared hysterically, "Tell me, who dares to do this to my precious granddaughter?" Lu Ruoxuan looked timidly at Mayan with tears in her eyes and said sadly, I don't dare to say, I can't say, I don't want to die. She is so powerful, she can kill me just by plucking the zither." Sob, sob, sob. The eyes of the several patriarchs simultaneously looked towards Mayan. Everyone's eyes seemed to be stained with poison, dripping with blood. "You kidnapped our granddaughter? Tell me, where did you hide her?" Mayan looked at Lu Ruoxuan coldly and said, I have never killed anyone in the Danyang mountain range, let alone kidnapped a child. May I know who you are? Why haven't I seen you in the Starry School before? Ha, I was killing people in the Danyang mountain range, and you happened to see me. I am so powerful, but I didn't notice you beside me. Don't you think your words are full of loopholes? Lu Ruoxuan said anxiously, that's because I hid well. If I lied, how would I know there were 4 boys and 1 girl? It doesn't matter who I am, the important thing is that you are crazy. How could you do this to a child? Now that I found out, you want to kill me. Kill you? Mu Yan couldn't help but laugh out loud. A person at the peak of Gold Core stage is putting on airs and crying, saying that she's afraid of being silenced by me, a cultivator of fasting stage. Girl, aren't you acting a little too much? Hearing this, Lu Ruoxuan's face suddenly froze. After she devoured Mei Xayan's spirit, her cultivation increased greatly, her appearance changed, and her aura became extremely special. Ordinary people couldn't see through her real cultivation. If she hid herself, others wouldn't be able to find her at all. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to follow the people of the 5 clans and hear the secret. But this June Mayan was able to see through her true cultivation at a glance. This woman seemed to be born to be her nemesis. Lu Ruoxuan noticed that the clan leaders were already looking at her suspiciously, and she suddenly panicked. However, at this moment, a flying boat descended from the sky. Before the flying boat came to a stop, a few guards dressed in the uniforms of the 5 great clans disembarked. Clan leader, we found him. Nalan Qing and the others were startled and hurriedly said, have you found Yen Yen and the others? Where's my precious granddaughter? Quick, let me see my Su. However, the guards all looked at each other with a sorrowful expression. Then, they took out a few tattered bloody clothes. What does this mean? The family heads were all over 100 years old, and their cultivations had long reached the nascent soul stage. But now, looking at the bloody clothes of the children in front of them, all of their voices trembled, and they were almost unable to smoothly ask a question. The guards knelt on the ground and choked with sobs. We only found the young master and the young lady's clothes. We didn't even find their bones. Beside the clothes, there was a furnace with ashes inside. I'm afraid that the young master and the young lady have already met with misfortune. My Z. Madame Duan screamed as her eyes rolled back and she fainted. Chapter 1596. My Su, my poor Su, Madame Fong also fell to the ground. Her face was pale and full of tears. Nalan Qing's usually strong body suddenly bent, as if he had aged decades. Thinking about how his sweet and adorable granddaughter lost her life in the hands of a villain without even a corpse left, his heart surged with a bone-piercing killing intent. Who was it that killed his precious granddaughter? He was going to skin this thief alive and tear his bones to shreds. Lu Junjiang was the calmest among them. He suppressed his grief and pain and asked the reporting guard, where did you find these bloody clothes? In the Alcade branch, the guard answered without hesitation. The Alcade branch is huge, and most of the palaces are abandoned. Therefore, we searched for a long time before we found it in a secret stone room. In the stone room, there were not only the clothes of the young masters and mistresses, but also many other children's clothes. There were even piles of bones. It was a horrible scene. Hearing this, everyone was in an uproar. Everyone stared at the guard who spoke, then at the people from the Xiaoyao school. They could not believe their ears. These people from the Yaoguang branch had kidnapped and killed so many people, and they were all innocent children. Could it be that these 7 people were not the heroes of the Starry School, but rather insane murderers? Lu Ruoxuan cried, I don't know why you slandered me, Mayan. I didn't mean to hurt you, I was just telling the truth. Even if you really wanted to practice evil martial arts, you shouldn't have done it to innocent children. Fortunately, your evil deeds have finally been made public. This can be considered as proving my innocence. Don't talk nonsense. Luo Yute said anxiously, we didn't do these things. The Arcade branch is so big and we didn't go everywhere. How do we know if there are any stone rooms? Also, do we have nothing better to do after eating? Why did you kidnap a few children to kill? Yi Shaoqin from the Spiritual and Martial Arts Institute suddenly said, I once heard from my father that there is a kind of assistant musician. In order to connect with the user's instrument and exert greater power, they are willing to sacrifice the blood of young boys and girls to form a connection with the magical equipment. This kind of musical instrument is contaminated with filthy baleful aura. Ordinary cultivators would not be able to activate it, but in their hands, they can unleash great power. Evil technique. Virgin boys and girls sacrificed. Everyone was shocked. Li Zuping laughed out loud, so the reason why I am unable to activate this primordial zither is because this zither has been refined by you using witchcraft. In order to take our evolution moon sex divine weapon for yourself, you really spared no effort. Now, everything was connected. More and more people started to believe that the zither was a divine weapon of the flowing moon sect. On the other hand, Jun Mayan and the Xiaoyao school were thugs who killed innocent children. Di Yudao leaped down from the high platform and stared at the 7 people furiously. To think that I guaranteed in front of the clan leaders that there would never be such an evil person in the Starry School. I didn't expect you to be so cruel that you would attack innocent children. You don't deserve to be students of the Starry School. Chapter 1597. Chu Moli smiled, but his eyes were as dark as ink. Shao Qi, Yuma, stop talking. No one will listen to you no matter how much you say. Can't you see it? This is a trap that was set long ago, just waiting for us to fall into it. I just don't know which person is so generous as to use the children of the 5 clans as a bargaining chip. What a good move, what guts. Aren't they afraid of shooting themselves in the foot? Di Yudeo's eyebrows twitched, then he said angrily, things have already come to this, and you are still lying, trying to clear your name. He turned around and looked at the 5 clan leaders, his face full of pain. It's all because of our lack of Taoism that the school has produced such evildoers who are worse than animals. To show our shame, the Starry School has decided to withdraw from the fight for the championship of the Tri-School tournament, and we will seal the Arcade branch forever. On the spectator stand, Su Iluan suddenly stood up, his fists clenched tightly, his eyes full of ferocity. He stared at Di Yudao, his eyes full of murderous intent. His body also emanated a thick, black evil qi. However, after a moment, he calmed down and retracted all the black evil qi. It was not that he did not want to help the children of the Arcade branch, but it was really not the time yet. He had planned for so many years for revenge, he could not fail at the last moment. Su Iluan slowly sat back in his seat and looked down, hiding the pity and sorrow in his eyes. He knew that the 7 talented children of the Arcade branch would probably not be able to escape today. After Di Yudeo's order, the students on the spectator stand were all silent. They had yet to come back to their senses, unable to believe that the 7 invincible and brave people on the battlefield were actually thugs who killed children. Even the Phoenix Heavenly Kings team, who were announced as the champions of the Tri-School tournament, all had a serious expression, without any joy. Qi Nizhou suddenly took a step forward and said, I've known Jun Mayan since the Qingyun world. She is definitely not a thug who would kill children. Lu Jinhang also slowly said, if Jun Mayan is really the Lord of Azure Sky, Yi Liangchen, I don't believe that a person with such attainments in the way of the sword would be a despicable and cruel person. On the spectator stand, Ouyang Qing leaped down and stood beside Ling Yuxing without hesitation. I believe that little Xing would never do anything that goes against reason and nature. Su Zi quickly stood beside Mu Yan and said loudly, I'm an exchange student sent by the Phoenix Sky Academy to the Starry School. I've been staying in the Alcade branch for the past few days. I can testify that they definitely didn't kidnap any children. In the stands, many students stood up. If Jun Mayan is really great God Yi, we will never believe that our great God Yi is a bad person. Lu Ruoxuan jealously looks at these strangers she's met by chance testifying for Jun Mayan and the Xiaoyao team. Her heart feels like it's being gnawed by thousands of ants. When she was in trouble, these people only knew how to bully her, beat her, and even made her eat shit. Why is it that when it's Mayan's turn, with so much evidence in front of them, these people still want to protect her? Jun Mayan, based on what? But today, I will definitely make you lose all standing and reputation. Chapter 1598. Sure enough, the people who hang out with Jun Mayan aren't good people. Lu Ruoxuan takes a deep breath and suddenly says, I heard that musicians who practice evil arts can bewitch people's hearts through music. I didn't believe it was true before, but today I really saw it. Yes, she must be using music to bewitch people's hearts. This is also one of the characteristics of witchcraft musicians. Yi Shaoqin immediately follows up. Lu Ruoxuan wipes her tears. Maybe those innocent and lovely children were also bewitched by her music, so they believed her. But they didn't expect that they would believe a devil, and as a result, they would lose their lives. Those children are really too pitiful. They are still so young, and their lives have just begun, but they have become ghosts under Mayan's hands. Madame Duan, who has just woken up, suddenly screams when she hears these words. She suddenly jumps up and madly rushes towards Mayan, return my Zi. Return my baby son. I will kill you to pay for my Zi's life. Mayan easily dodges. Madame Duan's cultivation is not high. But Madame Duan has gone crazy. She doesn't care about her own safety. After being dodged, she immediately rushes over recklessly. Mayan wants to defend herself, but just as her spiritual power surges, she feels a strong pressure coming towards her. She stops moving, and the dagger in Madame Duan's hand cuts her arm. Blood splatters. Junior sister, you're hurt. The people of the Xiaoyao school quickly protect Mayan. At this time, the 7 of them have been surrounded by 5 nascent soul stage experts. Duan Xiangyang supports his wife and coldly says, Madam, rest assured. If this bitch really harmed Zi, I will definitely seek justice for our son. Madame Duan sobs, but she still retreats to the back. The 5 masters have cold expressions. Although they don't act immediately, their eyes tell everyone that it's like the calm before the storm. At any time, a storm will roll up and tear these 7 people to pieces. Lu Junjiang looks at Mayan and the others. What else do you have to say now? Mayan, if you want to blame someone, you can always find a pretext. But I really haven't seen the young masters and young ladies. Chu Moli suddenly says, Can you let me have a look at your son's bloodied clothes? Seeing that the 5 family heads had a gloomy look on their faces, they did not say anything. Chu Moli smiled faintly. Even if you want to sentence us to death, you should at least give us a chance to defend ourselves, right? Don't you think that there's something fishy about this? Lu Junjiang and the others looked at the young men and women in front of them and could not help but reveal astonished expressions. In the face of such a desperate situation, these people could still be so calm, as if they did not care about their lives at all. He subconsciously wanted to hand over the bloody clothes in his hand. Di Yudeo's expression changed drastically when he saw this. In case anything unexpected happened, he made up his mind and suddenly leaped up, slamming his palm towards Mu Yan's head. You evil disciples, keeping you in this world will only stain the Starry School's reputation. This old man will personally end you right now. All of a sudden, a strong wind blew in the center of the Tai Square. Mayan suddenly opens her eyes wide, wanting to save herself and fight back, but she suddenly finds that the Tian Mo Chin isn't in her arms. Chapter 1599. Diudeo's face shows a sinister expression, an ominous glint. However, just then, there's a sudden panicked cry in the sky, "Aya! I'm going to fall, Jian Jian Gij, slow down, we're not the boss, we're going to die, Aya." There's a loud bang, and Diudao, who had already attacked Mayan, feels that he's hit something hard. His whole body is sent flying, tumbling to the ground. His head is ringing, and he can't stand up for a long time. On Tai Square, a cloud of dust fills the air. From time to time, a child's clear voice can be heard from within the dust. "Ba ba ba, so unsophisticated, Jian Jian Gij, you're too much, are you doing this on purpose?" "Boo hoo hoo, Yin Yan's hair is a mess, my face is also messed up, it's not pretty." "Bastard Duan Zi, your stinky feet are stepping on my face, still not moving." "It's not stinky feet. It's fragrant feet, blah blah." "Stop messing around, where's boss and Lon little brother? Haven't they arrived yet?" Listening to these voices, Lu Junjiang and the others suddenly widen their eyes, their faces full of disbelief. Madame Duan shakily raises her head, trembling as she asks, Did I just hear Zi's voice? Is it our family's Z? Yen Yen. It's Yen Yen's voice, isn't it?" The dust slowly dissipates, and the child's voice suddenly rises. "Hey, I think I heard my mother's voice. Grandpa, it's Grandpa." "Wow, Yen Yen misses Grandpa." From the dust, several small figures rush out like cannonballs. When they see the person standing in front of them, they immediately rush towards the familiar figure. "Daddy! Nyangqin! Grandpa! Wow, Grandpa, Yen Yen thought I'd never see you again." "Boo hoo hoo, Daddy, Nyangqin, Z is so scared. Z thought I'd never see you again. Someone bullied Shushu, Grandpa, you have to avenge Shushu." Wow, wow, wow. A few patriarchs, who were usually dignified and steady, were now hugging their treasures and crying tears of joy. They were smiling like children, completely losing their usual dignity. The mistresses of a few families even hugged their children in their arms and kissed them. They thought they had lost their precious son and grandson forever. They didn't expect that he would return to their side. It was like a dream. "Hong Yuan, what's going on? Where did you go?" Lu Junjiang touched his son's face, which was now a little darker, and asked, "Do you know how worried I was?" Lu Hongyuan was the oldest among the 5 of them. He had a calm temperament and was usually serious in speech and manner. But in the end, he was only a 7-year-old child. Now that he had a new lease on life, he couldn't help but tear up as he faced his father. "Daddy, we were caught by the bad guys and almost fed to the monsters. Fortunately, Boss appeared and saved us." "That's right, Grandpa. Our boss is amazing, really amazing. Father, Mother, I've also become stronger. I can kill a vicious beast now. It was all taught by Boss." Yes, we taught a lesson to the big bad guy, and also saved a little Lon Gij. It's so impressive. Our boss is the strongest in the world. Chapter 1600. But they roughly knew that they were caught by the bad guys and almost died. In the end, they were saved by a powerful boss. This boss not only saved them, but also taught them martial arts and sent them all the way here. Z, where's your boss? Duan Xiangyang said excitedly, he is our Duan family's great benefactor. We must thank him properly. Boss went with little brother Lon to look for something. Boss still has to look for his mother. Our boss is very busy. Yes, boss is busy all over the world. Hey, why is Jian Gage also gone? Jian Gage must have gone to pick up boss. Several little guys talked and went astray, excitedly boasting about how heroic and great their boss was. In any case, they would add our boss is #1 in the world. And this funny and warm scene made the tense atmosphere of the entire Tai Square disappear all of a sudden. The crowd looked at these lovely children and revealed happy smiles. Then there was a lot of discussion. Didn't they say that the people of Yaoguang branch killed the children? But now these children are still alive and well. Yes. I said that Jun Mayan and the Xiaoyao team wouldn't do such a thing. So, someone is slandering Yaoguang branch. Everyone's eyes turned to Lu Ruoxuan and Di Yudao. Di Yudao's complexion turned green and white. He wanted to stand up from the ground, but he felt that the blood in his chest was surging and he couldn't move for a long time. He didn't know what hit him just now, but it seemed to be a sword. But the sword's aura gave him a familiar feeling. But when he wanted to take a closer look, he found that there was only a group of children there, and there was no sword at all. Lu Ruoxuan's heart was even more unwilling. Just a little bit more and she could have killed Jun Mayan. She didn't expect that these little bastards were still alive. She took a deep breath and suddenly revealed a kind smile. She faced Lu Hongyuan and the others and said, "Little brothers and sisters, Big Sister has a question to ask you." Duan Zi spat, "Ugly woman, I hate you, I don't want to answer your question." "Yes, your smile is ugly, not good at all. It stinks, stay away from us." Feng Su directly gave him a supercilious look. "That sister over there is prettier." Murong Hao secretly pointed at Mu Yen. "Why do I feel like that sister looks a little like boss?" If you didn't mention it, I wouldn't have noticed it. It really looks like boss. Someone like boss must be a good person. Yes, that beautiful sister must be a good person. Lu Ruoxuan was immediately seething with anger after being despised by a few little radishes. But in the end, she still endured it and turned to face Lu Zhenjiang and the others. She smiled gently and said, "Patriarchs, didn't you hear it just now? They were really being hunted down. It was just that the young masters and young ladies were blessed by the heavens, so they managed to escape. But this didn't mean that the people who kidnapped them didn't have to pay the price. Don't you think so?" she said as she glanced at Mu Yen. "When I saw the few young masters and young misses in the Danyang mountain range that day, they were unconscious. I'm afraid they themselves don't know who kidnapped them. But if it wasn't done by Jun Mayan and Yaoguang branch, then how can you explain the clothes that were found in Yaoguang branch?" Chapter 1601. It's the black-clothed men. Yes, there are also strong, fierce, and ugly men. They were killing people, killing a lot of people. Yen Yen was very scared, and then we were discovered. Then they knocked us out. Yes, knocked us out. Then they threw us to the monsters to eat. Boo-hoo-hoo, the monsters are so scary. So many corpses. The little ones have indeed been knocked out, which coincides with what Lu Ruoxuan said. Lu Ruoxuan shows a horrified expression. So many corpses, could it be that demonic technique? This kind of scourge cannot be left alive. Duan Xiangyang pulls his son over and points at Mayan and the others. "Z, take a look, do you remember if these people were among the people who were chasing you?" Duan Zi shakes his head. and the other 4 children also shake their heads. The little radishes are still whispering together, "Is my father senile? That beautiful sister looks so much like Boss. How could she be the bad guy who was chasing us? Yes, I think that smelly and flirtatious slut is the bad guy. And that old man who was glaring at us is also not a good thing. Oh, there are so many bad guys, why hasn't Boss come yet?" Lu Ruoxuan says, "These people want to commit murder, how could they show their true colors in front of the Gongzi and Mrs.?" Saying that, she wipes her tears and says, "I have no enmity with Miss June and Yaoguang branch, and I don't even know the Gongzi and Mrs. Why would I deliberately frame them? Duan family head, please believe me, okay?" Saying that, she moves closer to Duan Xiangyang with tearful eyes. Intentionally or unintentionally, she sticks out her breasts. Duan Zi immediately yells at the top of his lungs, "Nyangqin, Nyangqin, there's a vixen who wants to seduce daddy, quickly go and slap her." Lu Ruoxuan's expression stiffens, her charming face almost distorting. This damned little bastard. If she could, she would really burn them to ashes. Di Yudao manages to regulate his breathing with great difficulty. Standing up, he coughs lightly and says, "This matter has now become confusing and difficult to distinguish. Your Highness, you have a noble status and will not be biased. Why don't you decide how to deal with this matter?" Lan Huahong's eyes flashed, and he coldly snorted, "Gu doesn't know if this June Mayan kidnapped or not. Gu only knows that she stole Gu's divine tool, the primordial zither, and the crime is conclusive. Men, come and capture her." Lan Fang's face immediately darkened. "Your Highness, the matter has not been thoroughly investigated." "How can you, Lan Feng, I've tolerated you for too long." Lan Huahong said sternly, "If I say I'm going to arrest someone, then I'm going to arrest him. Are you going to rebel against your superior?" Lan Feng's face turned ashen. He was speechless. Instead, Li Zuping came out and laughed, "No matter what the truth is, this June Mayan and the members of the Carefree Squad are suspects. I think we should lock them up first and then interrogate them." Di Yudao immediately nodded, "His Highness and Hall Master Li are right, please take these people away first. Our academy will definitely get to the bottom of this matter." Di Yudao had long seen through Lan Huahong and Li Zuping's thoughts. One wanted the person, and the other wanted the zither. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.